Hello lovers, I'm Thandeka. It's me, Sister Love, back on your screens. And today is Wellness Wednesday, and we are going to be discussing the grieving process as well as my own personal experience with grief. And just, I don't know how this video is going to go, so I just need to do a disclaimer and trigger warning. I will be discussing suicide as well as death of a parent. If you're sensitive to that kind of information, I'd suggest that you do not watch it because I do not want to trigger anyone, because being triggered is not nice. So I'm always advocating and hoping that everyone takes care of self first. If you do not want to hear certain news, you have every right not to hear that news until you are in a space, in a place where you're ready to do so. Otherwise, thank you everyone for coming on this journey with me. And I'm a bit down, but it is what it is. So basically, what happened was, I think on the 22nd, I'm not even sure, of April, I found out that a friend of mine, someone I had known from Facebook, then we became a bit close, took her life. This person was such a light to a lot of us, and hearing the news that she took her life just absolutely floored me. It made me feel so helpless. It made me feel like, where did I fail her? Even though I know that it had nothing to do with me, and there was nothing I believe that I could have done to have a different outcome, because I didn't know her struggles, I didn't know what she was suffering with, and I didn't know what was going on. I will not mention her name. Those that know me and that know, um, they will know exactly what I'm talking about and who I'm talking about. And I'd appreciate it if they don't mention it. If you want to talk about her, then just use her pronouns rather than her name. I'm still torn because also there's this level of disbelief, because there hasn't been closure, and closure in the sense that I've always, I don't know, like and I sort of now understand why there are rituals such as funerals and memorials, because without those things, it's very difficult to actually get to a point where you really truly believe that someone is gone. So for now, it's like I know intellectually that she's no longer alive, but emotionally, I don't have that thing that says for real, this person is no longer part of the world, except that they are no longer communicating. So it's a bit difficult. The grief hits me at different points, and sometimes I'm just like, what the hell? It's breathtakingly, sure, it's a lot. My first experience of grief was when I lost my biological mother at the age of 10. I call her UmamaWam because which it's a long story in and of itself, but basically when I realized that my mom became the biggest guardian angel for me on the other side, I realized that I then reclaimed her as mine. When I was 20 years old, I wrote a piece on Facebook, and that piece is called Finally. So I'm going to read it now and just go through whatever. It's been 11 years since I wrote it, because I wrote it on the 23rd of July 2010. I've just had to tweak it quite a bit because um, 20-year-old me was not ready to speak about my mother dying. And so I mixed the persons in the particular piece. So at 31, I feel ready to claim the grief as my own rather than making it a generic, and like it's a generic and everyone goes through it the same way. This is basically how I personally dealt with the loss of my mother. It took me 5 whole years to reach the point of acceptance, and it took me 10 years to finally realize that I had reached that stage. So here it goes. Please excuse me for looking down, but I will be reading, and then afterwards we'll see what happens, because I don't know how I'm going to handle reading this piece, even though I've just edited it. Finally, 5 stages of the grieving process. Denial. No ways. Hayi. No. I refuse to believe you're gone. This is one of those dreams that my alarm will thankfully start ringing any moment now, and I'll be woken up from it. You'll still be there. There'll still be more time. We'll eat together, and you'll shout at me for something I forgot to do. I close my eyes real tight, play a little game with myself. I'm going to count up to 50, and when I open them, things will be back to normal. 1, 2, 3, 4. Thandeka, go get your grandfather's pipe. Oh damn, there goes that idea. For years, I fell asleep and dreamt that UmamaWam was around, only to wake up and realize that her being there was the dream, and the reality was that she was gone. For 2 years, none of my friends knew, because if they knew, then it meant that she really was gone. And then that passes. And once I've had the reality check, I moved on. Anger. Oh, yes. I got angry at everything, because the one person I was angry at was not there. I dwelled in this anger state and it consumed me. Angry because she left me. Angry because there was no angry because there was so much I wanted to know. Angry because she didn't have any plans in place for what would happen after she left. Angry because the family members helped themselves to her things. Angry, angry, angry because she left without saying goodbye or I love you, until even that anger dulls and the what ifs and if onlys come next. Bargaining. Please give me guidance. Give me a sign that you love me. If only you were here. If only I had heard you calling. If only I had agreed to go with you, etc. I guess this really is another fantasy stage. And then comes the next consuming stage, depression. This one seemed to come through in waves, hitting me when I least expected it, turning joyous moments into empty ones. It plunged me into moments of darkness where it seemed there would never be light in my life again, especially after having taken so long to acknowledge her passing. It never truly goes away, this feeling of sadness at the loss, but it was greatly reduced as I realized and reached the final stage, acceptance. Here I talked about the loss freely, without the awkwardness of the beginning where I would say it silently and hope people didn't hear me, and they would pretend that they didn't because they also felt weird. But it's a lovely stage to get to, because it's allowed me to move on with my life and to remember the good things about the time I had with her. There is no time frame to it. We all go through it in our own ways. I'm glad to say I'm finally getting there. It took 10 years, but hey, what's time, right? So that's the piece that I wrote. And in that piece, I'm basically just reflecting on how long it took me to get to the point of acceptance that my mother had indeed died. So having read that piece, it's really just my way of dealing with, or retrospectively dealing with my loss. I go through a phase when I've lost something or someone or something major in my life has happened. There's this sense of numbness, and then followed by all the feelings, all the emotions, all the thoughts, all the memories. And I remember like tiny little things, but I forget major things as well. And it just consumes me. And what I've learned about myself is that the only way for me to get through anything is for me the only way for me to get through anything is for me to actually go through it. So there's no trying to suppress it or postponing it for a later time. So for me, that has been a big thing. I'm still not quite at that stage of acceptance that my friend is no longer alive, it hits me in waves, and it surprises me. I'll be doing the most mundane of things, and then the reality will will hit me, even though it still doesn't feel like it's reality, because like I said earlier, the fact that I don't have there's no closure. With my mother, even though I saw her in the coffin, even though I saw her body being lowered, I think I was so consumed and overwhelmed with too many emotions, and I was super young. So no one thought, no one thought to and no one thought, uh, or thought, no one thought to teach me how to deal with life after her. So for 5 years, I lived in my own little bubble where she existed, even though I knew she didn't exist. The grief and the loss and the feelings of sadness, they never truly go away. I don't want to lie, they never. I can't tell you that there's any point in my life where I felt like, yes, I'm completely over the fact that my mother died. It hasn't come, and she's been dead for 20 years. So in doing this video, I hope that I allow you to um, confront your own grief, confront your own losses, and for you to speak about them, to share how losing someone important in your life, whether it be a person or an animal, how losing anything that is important to you impacted you and how it affected you. I'm still in the grieving process and mourning process for my friend, and I don't know how to get to the point where I'll feel like, okay, no, she really is gone. So comment down below, sharing what your greatest or biggest loss has been and how you've managed to deal with it. Have you dealt with it? What are some of the things that you've employed in order for you to deal with it? How do you handle the loss of such a big part of your life? Um, and don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. From me, Sister Love, to you, lovers. Bye.